What if the next time anxiety struck, you knew exactly how to shut it down immediately? That is what this episode is about.
Anxiety. It hits us all.
Back in 2016, we were the most anxious we had ever been in our entire lives. I personally was dry heaving over the toilet with anxiety at least once a week, having straight up panic attacks, because when you quit your job and you get rid of that W-2 security blanket, it literally feels like you're stranded in the middle of the ocean without a life jacket, just swimming for your life.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really anxious time.
I remember there was times I had to literally lay on the floor because I was so anxious and couldn't.
And we're going to get into why your body's response was to lay on the floor. But before we get into that, after 9 years of trial and error and dealing with this thing called anxiety, and panic attacks and all of that stuff, we have finally come up with a 3-step, super simple method to completely annihilate anxiety on the spot.
Yeah.
And it's not something that will eliminate it forever, but when it does come up, it's 3 steps you can take to get rid of it in that moment.
Yeah. But before we get to that, I want to get clear and define what anxiety really is.
Yeah.
So anxiety is basically your body's alarm system going off when there isn't an actual fire.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's a false alarm, basically, in your survival system. And you have some science behind this, right? What's going on scientifically?
So basically, our nervous system is broken into 2 parts. You have the sympathetic nervous system, and then you have the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is when your body is in that fight or flight mode. And it's evolved because back in the day when we were cavemen, we needed that in order to survive because we're in the middle of jungles and forests and crazy wild places. And when we hear something that triggers our cortisol levels and gets us into that fight or flight, it gives us adrenaline and like perks us up the same way we feel the blood pumping when we're anxious, quote unquote anxious. That's fight or flight mode. So your body is like ready to either attack or run away.
Yeah.
That is basically what is happening. So you see a threat, you get into fight or flight mode, and it's designed through evolution to get you that way. And then you either fight that threat, whether it's a tiger, or you decide, oh my God, I can't get this tiger, and I'm running the other way.
Yeah.
That is really what anxiety is today. But the difference is we're not facing tigers and lions and bears. We are facing an email from our boss that gets us into fight or flight and like, oh my God, what do I do?
So it's actually a really unbelievably great system, but it's just pretty badly calibrated with the current state of evolution.
Yeah, I think there's a lag evolution going on right now.
And the way to think about it, another analogy is like, think about like a smoke alarm in your house, right? And that thing is super important. That's a great system to have in your house, right? Because when there's a fire, you want that thing to go off and get everyone out. But what we have currently is a smoke alarm inside of us, and every time we make toast, that alarm just starts going nuts. And that's what's happening. So how do we take control of that alarm system?
We need to move from the sympathetic fight or flight to the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. That's when you're feeling relaxed and calm and you can think clearly. And the way to do that is through 3 steps. And we're going to go through each one. It's move it out, breathe it out, talk it out.
Okay.
We're going to go through each one. So the first one is move it out.
Yeah.
The temptation when you're feeling really anxious is to skip this step and go either directly to breathe it out or talk it out. Go tell somebody about how anxious you're feeling. But what we really need to do is get that fight or flight out of our bodies. Like, it is literally hijacks our entire physical being. Our nerves start tensing up and everything gets stuck. The energy gets stuck in our bodies. And what we need to do is literally physically shake it off.
Physiology, yeah.
We need to change our physical state. So there's a great quote by Einstein. He says, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. So a lot of times we get anxious and we think we can think our way out of it, like think our way to a solution where we can feel better about whatever it is that's making us anxious. But really the hard thing to do, but the best thing to do, is move your body. Now, that could be jumping jacks, but realistically, the simplest and best thing that always works for us is just taking a short walk.
Yep.
Just take a short walk.
Yeah.
And it starts, I love your analogy with the Coke bottle.
Oh, yeah.
Tell that one real quick.
Basically, anxiety is like a Coke bottle that's been shaken up, and it's just inside of you ready to explode. And taking a walk is the equivalent of slowly opening that Coke cap to let the air out gently so that it doesn't explode all over you.
Exactly. So first step, move it out, get those trapped air bubbles out of your system, and you'll start to feel like that's the first step in moving towards the parasympathetic nervous system. The next step is breathe it out. So after we've taken a walk, we'll come back to the office and we'll sit down and do a quick meditation. Very quick, could be 5 to 10 minutes, just to focus on our breathing. And now this is taking us one level deeper into that parasympathetic nervous system, because when you slow down your breathing, your body is naturally responding to that rhythm and slowing you down into that rest and digest and getting you even further into that relaxed state. And if you've never meditated before, quick shameless plug, you actually already heard it at the beginning of this episode, but we're going to say it again. We have a quick and easy 5-day meditation course for complete beginners. Shameless plug. Check it out. feelbros.com/meditate. Super helpful.
I want to stay on this note of breathing too, like breath regulation. Yes, you can take our meditation course, and that's great, but there's also an even simpler thing that you could do in an emergency rather than touch your phone and get to this meditation course, which is something called the 4-7-8 breathing technique. And it's as simple as taking an inhale for 4 seconds, holding for 7 seconds, and slowly releasing for 8 seconds. That simple technique is something you don't need a phone for, you don't need an app. You can do that at any moment in time to simply regulate your breath and calm your nervous system down.
Yeah. Finally, we have talk it out. So now that you've done the first 2 steps, you've moved it out of your body, you're already starting to feel better from that, then you breathed it out, you're finally starting to feel calm. Now you actually want to sit down and figure out, like, now is the time to think your way out of the situation. Now that you're calm enough and can think clearly, you can sit down and talk about that email from your boss that caused this thing in the first place. So there's actually a framework within the framework here. So for step 3, to talk it out, sometimes you don't really have a friend to talk things out with. The best friend can actually be yourself. So in a journal, you want to name it, reframe it, and then fix it. So the first thing is name it. What is really bothering me right now? Name that thing that is really bothering me. So for example, the boss thing, my boss sent me an email that really pissed me off for whatever reason. Reframe it. What would I tell my best friend if they were in this situation? We have so much wisdom trapped inside of us, and we're so quick to give it to other people. This forces us to give it to ourselves as if we were our own best friend.
Gets you objective and out of your emotions.
Finally, fix it. What is one small positive action that I can take right now? Because action builds momentum, and action actually is another antidote to anxiety. So name it, reframe it, fix it. Higher level, you got move it out, breathe it out, and then talk it out. If you do those 3 things, I guarantee you will eliminate your anxiety on the spot. It's worked for us every single time without fail. And I'm sorry I'm rambling on and on and on and not letting you talk. It's because it's something I really, really, really struggle with. And I have one more thought I want to share before we go, and it's this. There are different levels to anxiety. There's like panic mode anxiety, dry heaving, like you literally can't freaking breathe. That is where you definitely need to start at level 1, which is move it out. Like you physically need to move that type of anxiety out of your body. You can't go to breathe it out or talk it out because you need to get that one out. Level 2 is like that, little bit lower level than holy shit, full panic. It's like your heart is beating and you feel that physical sensation. At that point, you might be able to just go right to level 2, which is breathing it out. And then finally, there's that low-level buzz of anxiety where you feel like something's bothering you, you just can't put your finger on it. In those cases, you could just go right to talk it out, go right to that journaling prompt. Yeah. So depending on what level you're at, you can use this 3-step method differently.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah. I think that's extremely practical. And I think also just remembering the science behind what's actually happening is also helpful. Just to remind you that like you're not crazy for feeling anxiety. It's a natural part.
Just a caveman.
It's a natural part of the body's system. And we just need to now use our newest brain to overcome this evolutionary thing that we have inside of us. And
Frontal cortex, miracle.
yeah, exactly. It's a blessing and a curse. And we can use it as a blessing when we have the awareness of knowing what to do. And I think you laid out some really good steps for us, because the truth of the matter is, as Seneca says, we suffer more in imagination than in reality.
Yeah, that's a great way to sum this up. So call to action for today is try out the 3-step method, obviously. If you're feeling anxious right now, or the next time you are feeling anxious, just keep it in your back pocket. Another call to action is if you're not feeling anxious, share this with a friend who you think might really benefit from hearing this 3-step method because they're super anxious. We all have an anxious friend. Share it with them. All right. That concludes this episode. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you have an awesome day.
Love ya.
Peace.
Thank you so much for listening all the way to the end.
If you're new here, we share daily mindset motivation in 10 minutes or less.
So if that's your vibe, hit subscribe or just check out another episode right here.